Well, welcome to the Panic Room, the last week. This is Tuesday, and we are going to look at something involving an amazing guy called Russell Brand and Ricky Gervais. And we're going to look at what Russell Brand got wrong, because he gets an awful lot right, but he ends up missing things. What's Russell Brand missing? Steve, have you heard of Russell Brand?
I have indeed heard of Russell Brand. I like Russell Brand. I didn't used to, but I've warmed to him because I think he's an inquiring mind. He doesn't seem to be missing much. He's got a lot of followers, a lot of influence, a lot of credibility, a lot of great hair as well. Have you noticed that, Dave? He's got great hair.
He's not missing hair. That's true.
No.
However, he's got brains as well. Before we come on to Mr. Brand, though, let's just catch up where we're at in our panic situation, because we are going to be leaving the panic room and entering into the kitchen next week. And I hope that you have on your phone your nice shiny app.
I do. My COVID-19 app. There's a drone outside the house just watching me at the moment to make sure that I don't say or do or think anything the government doesn't want me to say, do, or think. Well, that's my impression, given what people are saying on Facebook. It's ridiculous.
I know it is. I just put up that I was doing it. I never thought, and my goodness, all the conspiracy theory nutters were getting in. Look, it's good that things are improving. It's good that here in New South Wales today, we've been told that we can go and visit people in their homes. I'm afraid I've been breaking the law because I didn't realize that we couldn't, but never mind, now I'm legal and legit. I believe in Western Australia, you can really party. You must be so happy, Steve. 10 people together.
No, I know. Though I'm an introvert and I am crying. I'm trying to string it out. I'm just printing fake newspapers for our house that say, this is going on for another couple of weeks because I don't want us to leave.
Okay, I tell you what, look, I'm going to play this clip, the first bit from, it's not the whole, even the whole interview. It's a 10-minute kind of advert for the interview between Russell Brand and Gervais. So listen to this.
I've gone on a sort of like the opposite journey, in that I feel like I started off atheistic just the same way that I would reject any attempt to impose regulation or control on me for the purposes of domination. But as I've, gone through my own stuff with, addiction and mental health or whatever it is, and like I know that you're very that, for example, afterlife is about legitimate grief as opposed to some kind of abstract idea of mental illness brought about by hormonal or neurological balance. But myself, my own sense of despair, particularly looking at it from a perspective of mental health issues and addiction, is that there is an unaddressed yearning for a kind of oneness, togetherness, and to your point earlier about Brent, indeed for love. And when you talk about that sense of awe of the appreciation of an animal, the love of an animal, and the sort of regard and gratitude for having an animal love you and care for you, or the beauty of nature, or the deep beauty of the cosmos, what I feel like, and my own appreciation, understanding, stroke belief in God is that there is a kind of, in the love of it, in the awareness of rightness itself, there is an indication that there is such a thing as rightness. Not that there any one particular group or ideology has unique, a particular and special access to it. And I really firmly, deeply believe that spirituality is for me, not for me to tell other people, boy, I don't reckon you should be gay, or I don't reckon you should be allowed to do it. I feel like I do my shit.
Okay, what do you think of Mr. Brand's remarks?
Look, as I said before, I love Russell Brand because he's got lots of he's inquisitive, and he's obviously had a shift from, if you've heard of him being very cocky maybe 15, 20 years ago, he's certainly got into a depth of understanding, a little bit of understanding about himself, because he has deep addictions that he wasn't able to control by himself. And also, I really like the way he's inquiring about the God question. I just think that it isn't the time and the place to be a celebrity to say there's a God and we've got to figure this God thing out, because that's not going to get you popularity stakes in Western popular culture at the moment, is it?
No. I mean, Brand came to mind. Well, I knew Brand anyway, and he was famous in the UK for sexual remarks he'd made and a joke that he'd played on, was it Basil Fawlty's Spanish sidekick, Manuel, yeah. So he was famous. He'd become kind of infamous for that. So when my son sent me a clip of Russell Brand being interviewed by Jeremy Paxman, I thought, oh, for goodness sake, what are you doing? Probably one of the most astonishing things I've ever seen, because Paxman said to him, do you believe in God? And Brand said yes, and Paxman was absolutely shocked. And then Brand went on to talk about, in essence, what he's talked about in that clip. And I have used that, I don't know how many times, to introduce a conversation about God, because although he talks even more than you or I, he is he gets it. I think, he gets so close to it, but he is missing. So he's got awe, and he's got love, and he's got sense of longing, and he's got the beauty of nature. Let me share something with you as regards the beauty of nature. I need, once I'm able to share it, once my host has enabled an attendee shares thing, I'll show you the thing on the beauty of nature, because it was the beauty of nature that fundamentally stopped me being an atheist, because of where I grew up and where I lived. Now, where have I lost it? Let's see if I can find it somewhere. It will be there. It will be there. Just trust me, trust me. Let me ask you before I share it though, do you share the sentiment about the beauty of nature?
Well, look, I think that's one thing about nature. It can be beautiful, but it isn't always beautiful, isn't it? The beauty of a tsunami wiping people out, or nature being red of tooth and claw, it's kind of a mixed message. Could you think that the nature itself could point you towards a God, perhaps? But what kind of God is probably up for grabs, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It could do, although trust you to, there I am about to wax lyrical about gorgeous weather and everything else. And you want to go on about killing things, you know. Who do you think you are, Stephen Fry? Well, right, now that's out my back garden. Well, not quite, yes. But it's not far. It's about 3 kilometers from where I live, and it's a place I love to go to, and it's gorgeous. And I find it inconceivable to sit there and conceive that it just happened. That's my problem. And I think beauty does that anyway. And I think Russell Brand gets that. And I think it's a very, very powerful argument. But this particular clip, he went one step further. And he talked about something that was called rightness, and this sense of right. Now, the Bible would call it righteousness, but isn't that astonishing that he recognizes that?
Yeah, that is, because I think one of the things when people say they're about God, the God question is the problem of evil. But I would have to say the problem of good is just as much a problem, isn't it? Because why should anything be good, or how can you determine that anything is? That solving the idea of why you want something to be right or righteous or good is just as problematic as the evil question.
Yeah. So here's an issue. If you are an atheist watching this, or you're somebody who's doubting, and you're saying, well, the reason I doubt is because I cannot believe that God would do this, this, or this, or I cannot believe that these evil things happen in the world. The problem is, as C.S. Lewis pointed out, because this led to him converting from his atheism, is if you judge by a standard of good and evil, where do you get that standard from? If we are just chemicals, there is no good and evil.
No, that's the thing.
If it's just a social construct, then it means the rich and the powerful determine what is good and evil. But we know that there's a rightness, and that must come from somewhere. I think that's an even more powerful argument than the argument from beauty.
Yeah, I think it is too. And the other thing I'd say too is people who disbelieve at the moment in our own context disbelieve from a Christian perspective, because right and wrong in the way the moral framework is put together is probably not even thought about in a much more sort of Eastern understanding of God, where the gods are capricious and there are good gods and bad gods and they can do what they want. Tom Holland says in his book Dominion, that's not the Spider-Man Tom Holland, that we disbelieve Christianly, and that's really interesting.
Yeah. We live in, you know, you're originally from Northern Ireland, and it's quite funny because you'll know the old story about the two Ulster people talking, and one saying, oh, what religion are you? And one says Catholic. And the other says, well, I'm Protestant, but what kind are you? And say, well, I'm atheist Catholic. Well, I'm atheist Protestant.
Yeah, that's
right. And there's a sense in which like Doug Murray recognizes as well, we are Christian in our ethos, in our ethics, in our culture, although we've lost the root. Listen, I'm going to love you and leave you and look forward to seeing you tomorrow, because we'll go on to Ricky Gervais. As I want to point out, I think that I'm the Ricky Gervais, the rude, well, very humorous,
obnoxious.
one,
Let me fill those words in for you.
yeah, and you're the philosophical one who yaks forever and eventually does say something that's worthwhile. So yeah, I think we've got a lot with them. We are the Gervaisan brand of Christianity. But I do love it. I love that in 90 seconds, in that clip that we played, he gave the argument from awe, the argument from love, the argument from desire, the argument from beauty, and the argument from right and wrong. He's a pretty good apologist for the Christian faith, is Russell Brand. Imagine what he's going to be like when he meets Jesus. All right, we shall see you tomorrow.
See you later.
Thanks.